What's going on, guys? This is a different episode. This is a YouTube video with the Invincibles. I'm Zan,
I'm Oli.
and today we're going to be talking a bit about tiering or ranking the MCU's villains. As Marvel fans and as MCU fans, it's always cool to just talk about villains from the Marvel brand, especially when DC is known more for their villains. So looking at Marvel, seeing how it stacks up, and really analyzing villains that aren't just Spider-Man, which is typically the most popular and most well-known Marvel villains. Trying to do some a bit different, even though there are some Spider-Man villains in here. Is a lot of fun. So let's get to it, man. Which character do you want to start out with? Which film, or
Um,
how do you think we should do it? Like villains themselves, or like the films that the villains are in?
I say we start off sort of timeline order. So I say we take it back to Iron Man 1. Start where
Okay.
where it all began.
All right,
Um,
let's do it.
so his name's gone blank out of my mind.
Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah, yes, Jeff Bridges.
Hmm.
I knew Jeff Bridges, but I was like, what's his character? Yeah, Obadiah Stane. I think he's good. Like just good. Also, by the way, the tears are the same as the Star Wars video, so Thor: Love and Thunder is the worst, and then it's just like
Hey,
standard for the
also
others.
check out my hat. My
Oh, I
hat,
like
bro.
it. I like it.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, no, in terms of that, honestly, I would put him in GOAT.
Really?
You want to know why? It's
Go on.
that scene. It's the scene where he like paralyzes him with like the
Oh
thing, and
yeah.
then he takes out the arc reactor, just pulls it out, and I don't know, maybe it's just
Mm,
like a phobia or a personal thing of mine. Excuse me. But just like cybernetics and
mm,
bionic implants just freak me out and make my stomach queasy to no end. So Tony Stark's origin to me will always feel uneasy. Just the concept of shrapnel in your heart that's
mm.
constantly in there, and you need to have an arc reactor in your chest, and it's just like queasy and just like melding technology and biology a bit too comfortable for my liking. If something like that, like Black Mirror, something happened like that in real life, I freak out.
Mm.
When eventually humans have cybernetics in their brain, I will be the one fringe alt-right conspiracy. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm just telling you right now because
Oh, me
it's
too.
that just
Yeah, me too.
that's that stuff freaks me out to no end. But that scene where he just kind of puts the pill and
Mm.
takes the arc reactor out of his chest, and he's just talking not even trash, but just like throwing Tony's relationship in his face. All the 20
Yeah.
years that they had, and just throwing it in his face, just calling him a rich kid, saying he didn't care about him. And what I also appreciated from a Muslim perspective is I thought this movie was gonna make the brown person, like the terrorist, gains all the armor
Mm.
and fights him. And I really like how Iron Man said, no, like the real terrorists are also the ones in America making money off the terrorism business. And that's
Yeah.
what Tony Stark is. So I really, you know, I think Obadiah Stane really kind of encapsulates how when you think of terrorism, we often think of like, the jihadists with the RPGs, which we should think about, but we also shouldn't forget the people in corporate lobbies who make that happen. And that's what Obadiah Stane represents. So that scene where he just rips it out of his chest, it just set the tone for just queasiness. That's why for me, I'd put him in the GOAT category.
Yeah, you put forward a very, very convincing argument there. Um,
Yeah.
and as I was thinking back to when I was a kid, I was 7 years old watching that in the cinema. I was terrified of him. So, and that's what these films are meant to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'd definitely agree with that one. And the suit as well, like the huge Ironmonger suit, is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I
It's
kind of wish we got more of I like sort of big Iron Man suits like that didn't really work perfectly. That were a bit clunky, a bit more
I kind of
realistic.
I kind of I appreciate what they did with the Iron Man brand, because at a point I went from adapting Iron Man comics to building up the MCU brand.
Mm,
And in a sense, LeBron Jamesing the franchise, right? Kind of like Roman Reigns in WWE, you have one major star and everybody else kind of follows the right tide, high tide. That's Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man for the rest of the MCU. And I really think that a lot of what made that character work, especially like the big Iron Man suit, is if you look at like the context of which superhero films came out in, it was powers, powers, powers. So you had Spider-Man 3 with the symbiote, you had the Fantastic Four, You had, the cartoons, everything superhero media emphasized superpowers, secret identities, all the classic tropes that you barely see now because of the MCU's specific branding that everybody else has
Mhm.
adapted. And that's not a good or bad thing. That's just culture changing. Credit to the MCU for doing that. And so I really kind of wish that the Iron Man films didn't kind of deviate from like classic Iron Man villains. Like I would have loved to see Ghost. I
Yeah.
know Ant-Man and the Wasp had their own version of that, but like in the comics, Ghost was a psychopath that used an invisible suit that can get in anywhere. So at a point, Tony Stark had insomnia and he had paranoia, so he slept in the Iron Man armor because he didn't know if Ghost would show up in a secret armor and kill him. So like there would be a lot of really cool stuff that they could have done with Iron Man with an emphasis on technology, maybe going a more horror angle,
Mhm.
Black Mirror-esque. I think that's what they could do in the future with the Iron Man brand. But I mean, I'm not complaining. If it wasn't for the direction they got with Iron Man, we wouldn't have Infinity War.
Yeah.
Um, but I just think that's what kind of set Iron Man different from the previous superhero films. It was powers, 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 powers. So to have a guy who built his own tech of armor taking on contemporary world issues, to see that kind of deviate into more comic booky alien stuff, when the whole reason, in my opinion, that made Iron Man stick out from everybody else was the powers, the technology, and the contemporary world aspect of it, to kind of go a bit more comical. I guess I kind of got lost in the sauce. I really wish
Mhm.
we see an Iron Man property that goes a bit more Winter Soldier and Iron Man 1 with it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. The next one, Abomination, probably meh. No, I don't think it's quite Thor: Love and Thunder because that final fight scene when they destroy Harlem is pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
I put him in meh. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
because the fight was awesome.
Mm.
The actual scenes are incredible. I know people say CGI fest. Bro, you guys also watch Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, so like let's be real.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Incredible Hulk. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I thought the villain did its job, like Emil Blonsky being memeable. Like, is that all you've got? And then getting Cristiano Ronaldo to cross a football field. Like, I thought that was funny, man. But I there wasn't a lot of, like, how Tony Leung's character in Shang-Chi, he was that physical presence, but there was also that personal element where you really felt where the character is coming from.
Mhm.
The Incredible Hulk's Emil Blonsky didn't have that, and that's not a fault of the character. That's just he served his role. But because he served the role that he was supposed to do to make a good film, that's why, in my opinion, he's in meh, because he didn't do enough to be in the higher categories. But I'm
Yeah.
not saying he can't, so.
Just to specify to anyone watching as well, this is just the movie villains. We're not doing the TV shows. We might do TV shows villains on their own a separate time, possibly, if this does well. But this is strictly just the villains from the films.
Yeah, and I think it'd be funny after Thor: Love and Thunder if we have like another category that says clandestines. We need to do that. We need to do
Yeah,
that.
we'll add that for the next one.
Who's the next one?
So I've included Whiplash and Justin Hammer. So I've included both sort of the villains from Iron Man 2. Uh, Whiplash does nothing for me, but I don't think it's as bad
Whiplash.
as Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think Whiplash is good because I think he served his purpose, which
Mm,
is like, if they were good, like the bottom category of good is where I'd put him in, because he
okay.
served his purpose. He provided a new threat to Tony Stark. The marketing of Iron Man 2, like I remember I would go on the movie website and it said like 30% loading, 50% loading as the day got closer and closer to the trailer drop. And I remember when the trailer dropped, if you guys still pull up the Iron Man 2 trailer, it was pretty intense and pretty dark. And not to get off on a tangent, but let's bring back the art of making good trailers. Like, you watch like
Yes.
The Dark Knight trilogy trailers are a movie of its own. You watch the new, like the Star Wars sequel trilogy trailers, all of them are excellent. All of them
Mhm.
are freaking, especially the Last Jedi trailer, dude. That's the hardest trailer ever. Like that final one,
Yeah, it's
like
good. It is good.
the Dune trailers, like, don't just
Mm.
put a trailer. I hate it when movies do this, when they slap a trendy TikTok song on a movie trailer and just quick rapid succession of what's going to happen in the movie with the cameo. Oh my gosh, you got to watch the movie like at the real end. I'm so sick of that. Like, credit to the No Way Home trailer, credit to the
Mm.
Black Panther trailer, credit to the Moon Knight trailers. Those are the trailers I think of recently in the MCU that like really, it's not on the level of the Dark Knight trailers or Dune. Like, to me, those are the pinnacle of trailer making. But there is an art to trailers. Trailers
There is
should make you feel
absolutely.
excited. Like the Avatar Way of Water trailers. All
Oh,
of them.
incredible. Yeah.
Trailers have to keep you mesmerizing and have to give you that big movie experience. And now trailers have become, this is your favorite character mixed with Lil Uzi Vert in the background. And yes, I'm dissing Blue Beetle. The trailer's garbage. But going back to the Whiplash, you watch that trailer, it is intense, it's dark, and you see him rip the Iron Man armor to shreds just in the trailer, and then the movie ends. Then the trailer ends, excuse me. And that's what I'm saying. The trailer feels like a movie. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I gotta watch this. So because of the effect that his character alone did for that, and then when you actually watch the movie, he's a pretty intimidating villain. Like, he choked out Justin Hammer's guys and left them hanging. He had banger lines like, if you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him. And he also played a huge role in Tony's falling mental health and falling
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence that helped to enable the Ultron armor, which, even though I hated Age of Ultron, we can talk about that later, that character did a lot of good. So I would put him in good. Now, he's not like iconic, but I really think like it'd be cool if we did an episode rewriting Iron Man 2. Bro, we could
Oh,
make
okay.
that character, we could make that Whiplash character incredible. Like, I tell you all the time, bro, I see the
Mm.
vision for Screwball and Spider-Man PS4. Like, Screwball really could be a fantastic villain and nobody sees it. I see the vision with Screwball. Same thing here. I see the vision with Whiplash.
I think that could be a little series that we do, like
I
rewriting villains or pitches for future villains. I think that's something that could be quite good.
I agree.
Um, what's your opinion on the other villain of Iron Man 2, Justin Hammer?
Oh, he to me, he's great. He's just funny. He's comedic. He's, and I want to be clear, when I'm saying go and great, I know there's always going to be some film connoisseur who's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you really think he's a great villain." No, we're talking for their competition. We're not comparing him to Hannibal Lecter. Okay, let's
Yeah,
just
this
put
yeah
that out
in the
there.
context
Yeah.
of the MCU.
In the context of the MCU, yeah, I would put Justin Hammer in great. He was comedic. He was funny, and my favorite line, it's not on YouTube. I need somebody to like upload it on YouTube. It's when Ivan Vanko is like talking to him in Russian after he ripped him off with the suits, and he's like, "I don't know if you can tell, but I don't speak Russian." And his face is like red, and he has like tears of frustration in his eyes. Um, yeah, I don't know. To me,
Yeah,
Sam Rockwell's character did a fantastic job.
Sam Rockwell's brilliant as well. He just does his job, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Um.
and yeah. All right, who's
Oh,
next?
okay. What's so after Iron Man 2, it's
Thor.
Thor. So I've not got any of the Frost Giants. I've just got Loki, and there is multiple versions of Loki. I've got, for some reason, there's three pictures of Loki here, but I've got Loki from Thor and Loki from Avengers. I'm sort of categorizing them as different because Loki's at different points in his life. So I'm thinking we categorize his performance in each of them as in different rankings, maybe.
I
Um,
would put Loki and Thor then
mhm.
with good, simply because we have seen that trope to death of
Above or
evil
below
little brother.
Whiplash?
Below.
Below, okay.
Simply because, and this is not a testament to Tom Hiddleston's acting. In fact, Tom Hiddleston's acting is what created Loki to be an iconic character. But I'm
Mhm.
just saying, how many times have we seen the trope of an evil brother and
Yeah,
everything? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, we've seen it in Transformers, Optimus Prime, Megatron. We see it, like, kinda in, Spider-Man with Harry Osborn and Peter. I mean, there's Mufasa and Scar. I mean,
Mhm.
Ursula and King Triton. I mean, the whole evil sibling thing has just been done so many times to where having it again in Thor was like, okay, and he's gonna be evil. Plot twist, he's gonna be manipulating the frost giants. And yeah, he did. But the plot twist to me was the fact that you're like, oh my god, he actually is a hurt little kid. Like, you think he's a
Yeah.
manipulative, like, little, snot, but really underneath all of that, he just wants his dad to say, I love you. And he doesn't say it until the end of his life in Thor Ragnarok. So adding that part where he's a piece of garbage, but then you realize, oh my God, he's a little kid
Hmm.
inside, you feel bad for him. That's testament to Tom Hiddleston's acting, especially that one scene where he's like screaming at his dad when at the casket of the Winters when he's
Oh
holding it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, that to me, I'd put him in good. But I say that to say every element of Loki, excuse me, like every time he shows up, he just gets better and better and better.
Definitely.
Um, yeah.
Um, what's after Thor? Captain America: First Avenger.
Oh my God, yeah,
So where is
right
Red
there.
Skull?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, right there. Um,
I'd say great because in that film he he's a perfect villain for that type of movie, and I think the design of him was absolutely perfect, and um, it just felt like it was ripped straight from like the animated TV shows, like Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It just like it was so parallel with that. It was perfect.
okay. I mean, I a hot take. I didn't really like First Avenger. I mean, I appreciate it now
Yeah.
as an adult watching it back. As a kid, I was more like, all right, he does his purpose. He's evil Captain America.
Hmm.
I thought his meltdowns were funny. Like when he
Yeah.
would just get mad and he would just be like, "Oh my God, Captain America blew up a factory again," and he's like getting mad and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, let's do great because he is iconic and he does play a huge role in the MCU going forward.
I think
Um,
because he's a super powered villain, I think he's got to go above Justin Hammer.
yeah, but does he speak Russian though? Does he speak Russian? All right, man. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, he doesn't speak
uh,
Russian, but it's
he
okay.
speaks the German.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Um, what's after that? It's Avengers, isn't it? So another version of Loki. This version of Loki, because this is basically the last version of Loki that is actually a villain. After this, he's more of an anti-hero.
I'd
Um,
put him in great, best
really,
version of great.
I don't know. He's either at the top of great or the bottom of goat for me.
He was a fantastic villain.
Hmm.
My hot take is I think he did a better performance in Dark World. So
Mm.
that's why for me. But I mean, hey,
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll put him at the top of great. We can maybe rejig it a bit at the end, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I
Um.
just think when he killed Phil Coulson, that to me
Oh,
was the
that's
point of no
ruthless.
return. Yeah,
Mm.
that was his quote unquote heel turn. Like the lovability in that movie stopped right there. And I think that's what, if you watch Avengers back again, I really don't think Joss Whedon did the movie any favors. I mean, it's very
Mm.
comical, it's very comedic. It set the tone for how drama plays out in MCU films going forward. I mean, the only exceptions really are Winter Soldier, Black Panther films, um, Spider-Man, and then the final half of Spider-Man Homecoming, and then the entirety of No Way
Mm.
Home. Those are really it. Everything else you can kind of predict the comedic beats, and a lot of it came from the Avengers. Like when I first came out of the Avengers, keep in mind at the tone was Inception, the tone was Dark Knight Rises, very serious, no comedic drop type films, no overly CGI films. And I preferred those. Like I prefer the Dark Knight Rises to the Avengers. I think that's a much better film.
Dark Knight Rises
That's
is
what I thought of it.
underrated. It's so
Yeah,
underrated.
to me, it's just a much better film. Like the when he's like Christian Bale, and I hate Christian Bale's Batman, but I'm just talking about films. Yeah, it is a much better film. It is a much better superhero film, I would argue as well, just because of the direction, the tone, and the acting. Um, it was hard for me to take Avengers serious with Captain America's suit.
Hmm.
But Iron Man, I think like Robert Downey Jr., that's one of his greatest performances, especially when he's talking to Loki, and he was like
Mm.
saying like like you killed Coulson, I'm going to kill you now. Like
Yeah.
Iron Man was the MVP of that movie. So for me, it's a lot of the testament of Loki and that bringing out of this. So I would put him in great, but I just think he had a better performance in The Dark World.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'll explain that
His
more.
arc in the Dark World is very good. Is what's next? Is it I'm on 3?
Three. Yes.
So we
This is
have
gonna be controversial.
oh, Aldridge Killian, um, or the Mandarin, but we're not going to call him that.
Yeah, yeah, no. You
Oh, I
want the
really don't
Mandarin?
know.
I'm the Mandarin. Like, yeah, right.
I think it's got to be meh for me.
I think okay, this is not gonna make sense. I think it's a mix between Goat and Thor: Love and Thunder.
No, I understand what you're saying. I
It's a
do
mix
understand.
between the worst and the greatest. I think it's the greatest because of the direction that they went with. Like Ben Kingsley. Like, bro, those 9/11-esque terrorist calls, some
Hmm.
of the most intense scenes in the MCU. And to be clear, not intense in like film and media ever. Like by MCU standards, yeah, like it's super dark, super intense. I mean, the whole scene where he's like, Mr. President, if you do not pick this person up, I'm going to Fortnite 150 headshot this man, you know? And then he calls him, and then Ben Kingsley's like his eyes twitching. He's like, and then he shoots him anyway. I was like, bro,
Yeah.
this. I'm like, this is how you that is how you up the ante from Loki and taking over the world. Just go smaller and go more personal with it. And I was like, bro, like this Iron Man's got to get his hands on this dude. And then he goes, and he's just a nobody. I was like, I was so mad, but then I was
Oh,
like,
I was
isn't
mad.
Tony? But I'm like, wouldn't Tony be mad? And that's the brilliance of the movie. That is subverting expectations, right? Ryan Johnson, Last Jedi. But
Mhm.
that was brilliant. Now the reason why it's Thor: Love and Thunder is because then they made it CGI fest, and then they made it Dragon Ball Z, and then they lost all of the interesting angle with the fake out of the Mandarin. Like it was perfectly right there, and then they just made him another generic CGI. I hate military vets villain, and whatever. Like the movie could have been good. I thought it was quite entertaining,
Yeah.
but it was just so close from brilliance. We were just like, we were just this close from Rogue One. We were just this close
I
to greatness.
I remember being so um like I anticipated it so highly from the trailers, from like you said, from those videos with the Mandarin where he's like, some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher. Lesson number 1. I was like, oh
And then he's
shit, it's
blowing
going
people.
down.
Bro, it was so intense. It was so freaking intense. Like, and it was comedic, but not the comedy was more endearing.
Hmm.
It wasn't to subvert drama, it was more endearing. I thought Shane Black did a fantastic job with Iron Man 3.
It's a great
But
movie. It's a great movie. It's just when you go in with that expectation and then they deliver that for the villain, it's like, oh, that's not good.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Um, After Iron Man 3, we've got Thor: The Dark World and Malekith. It's got to be this has got to be right at the bottom, surely.
Yeah, we literally know nothing about him, and he
It's
did
Christopher
nothing,
Eccleston. They wasted Christopher Eccleston on this.
and he hated it. He himself was
Yeah,
like, I don't know what I did here. Like,
yeah.
but there was cool stuff with the Dark Elves. Like they had their own language,
Mm.
they had their own technology, they had their own culture, they had their own way of life. Um, I thought it was really cool. Also, in that time, there was a lot of controversy of can elves be black? Can stormtroopers be black? So shout out to Dark World for the big hulking monster dude who put
Mm.
like the opioid steroid cold thing that made him strong or whatever. He was black, so shout out for that. Because they answered it in a time nobody was. Um, but I don't know anything about Malekith other than I thought it was pretty gangster that he killed his mom, like Thor's mom. I thought that
Yeah,
whole scene was
yeah.
awesome. I thought that whole scene was great. Which do we even have Loki from the Dark World in here?
I don't, because I don't know. I don't know if I'd consider him a villain in that movie.
I still would because he
Okay.
did
Well,
the implication
I've
that
got
I've
another
had.
picture of Loki here. It's not from the Dark World, but we can use that as the Dark World Loki if you want.
Okay, yeah, that's from Loki. Yeah, but no, I mean I would. Okay, so here's why. Because if you look at the implication of Loki after we find out that he faked out that he's Odin, I thought he killed him. Now,
Mm.
when we were watching Ragnarok, leading up to Ragnarok, we were thinking it was going to be a very serious film with Doctor Strange in it, with the Hulk, with Planet Hulk and Thor. Thought it was going to be serious, and then they went 80s retro with it. And when I came out of Ragnarok, I thought it was trash. I thought I did not like it because I'm like, you need to have a God of War, Game of Thrones tone for a story like Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Now it worked for them. It set the stage for Thor being the MVP of Infinity War, so it did its job. And looking
Mm-hmm.
back on it now, yeah, it's an enjoyable film. It's a heart, endearing film when you take away the expectation of it and look at what it actually was. It was a there were scenes of Hulk and Thor that bonding that I was like, yeah, it worked. But when you look at the Dark World, there was like this really dark, intense atmosphere that I just really appreciated. And Loki, when he's the scene when Loki and Thor talking and they're going at
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and in the elf world, and he's like, trust,
Yeah.
trust. You let mom die. You say you can't trust me, and then Thor gets mad and he's like, well, what good were you in your cell? And then Loki's like, who put me there? Who put me there? And you can tell like Loki, yeah, he's a slimy little shit, but he truly loves his mom, and he
Mm-hmm.
truly does blame Thor for her death. And there was just an element of humanity that you rarely see from somebody who always has a facade up.
Yeah.
And you can really tell that he was embarrassed about what he did at with the Avengers. Like that's what my mother thought about me before she died. So that's why to me I would put him in the goats category, honestly. I
Above
put that
Obadiah
Loki.
Stane.
Uh, mm, no,
Okay.
right below. Yeah, I know it's a hot take, but
Mm.
I just think that acting there, and then you tell he really hated him. So when the implication was that he killed Odin, that kind of changed, and they instead they faked it out, and he was, they're having fake plays in Asgard, and Odin is just some homeless dude in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
They subverted the expectation. I thought he killed Odin. I thought that would have been darker. I thought it would have been made for a much better Loki arc, where he's a lovable villain, but at the end of the day, you just can't redeem him. At least they made
Mm-hmm.
him redeemable. But yeah, that's what I thought. That's the implication I got from the Dark World, that he killed Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's why to me I would put him in the go category. Just the acting that Tom Hiddleston put in
Mm-hmm.
that movie,
I think the
insane.
Dark World is underrated, but a lot of people, well, pre Endgame and it's like BC, it's like before Christ, after Christ, before Endgame, after Endgame. That's like the middle of the MCU. Before Endgame, this was probably widely considered to be the worst MCU film. This, along with Incredible Hulk, but this is nowhere near as bad as Thor: Love and Thunder. I know, I'm sorry to bring up my
Yeah,
hatred for Thor: Love and Thunder again, but that film is it's unwatchable. I think
it's
I
really
I
bad.
can't watch it. I can't sit through it without bursting out laughing because it's
It's
so bad.
trash.
But this,
It's really bad.
even though this isn't the best, when you compare it to Thor and Thunder, it's like it's such a stark difference.
It
But
actually takes the world seriously.
another funny thing is Thor: Love and Thunder has an incredible villain, which is just massively underutilized.
Yeah. So you have a crap. Yeah, like the Thor movies deserve better, man. Like they need
Mm,
somebody who like wrote on the God of War games to write Thor. Like straight up,
yeah.
like Thor, like anybody who wants a good Thor story, just read anything Jason Aaron by Thor.
Hmm.
Just get the Jason Aaron omnibus. Thor is a galactic warrior that is badass and is cosmetic, or not cosmetic, but in the cosmos. And
Hmm.
he just feels like an epic otherworldly warrior with a heart of gold. And Thor's an idiot in the MCU.
He is. So I've just moved indoors because we were running out of time on the Zoom meeting, and it's a good job I did because my laptop died. So
Yeah.
let's carry on. Where were we up to? We'd just done the Dark World.
Yeah, I think it's Captain America Winter Soldier now.
Yes. So I've included um Alexander Pierce. Is that his name? Robert Redford's
Yeah,
character. I've
yeah.
included him and I've included Bucky. Let's go with
Okay,
let's go
so
with Bucky first.
goat,
Yeah, it's got to be.
goat.
he's got to be right at the
Go.
top of GOAT
He's the
currently for me.
best. He's
Yeah.
the best. He's the best. Just his presentation, the aesthetic, the fear.
Hmm.
Everybody knew that Bucky is the Winter Soldier. So they didn't try to subvert that. Instead, they were trying to pull at your heartstrings for you to realize just how much this means to Steve. And that was the brilliance of the reveal. It wasn't
Hmm.
it was for the first time Captain America having to use his values against the people that he loves. Before, he just faced people he didn't have a personal connection to. So this movie really deconstructed Steve Rogers as a character, and he was uncorruptible, and that's why I love Captain America. But um, yeah, Bucky. I mean, that highway scene. I mean, the Nick
Oh
Fury
yeah.
assassination scene, right? Bucky just being in Redford's house, Alexander Pierce's house, and the maid walks in on them and they have to kill her. Like, it's just the presentation of Bucky, the fear that Bucky was feeling when he was getting electrocuted, the horror, Black Mirror aspect of it, everything about Winter Soldier. I mean, I think objectively, it's probably the one of the greatest MCU movies ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I just think Bucky Barnes, just his whole presentation and his whole aesthetic, his vibe, and the heart and the fear that comes with it. I mean, that's not a villain you can replicate. That's lightning in a bottle. And
Hmm.
yeah, shout out to the MCU for making that happen.
Um, I think what I like about Winter Soldier in general as a film is it doesn't feel like superhero film. It
Mm,
feels like a war movie or like a Cold War movie, but
yes.
set in the MCU, and that's what's so special about it. When the MCU, when it's at its best, is when it tries to do something different. When it tries to, make a different type of film, but just set in this universe.
Yeah.
And it
We
absolutely
need
smashes it.
and we need more of that.
Yeah. Now, Alexander Pace, I think he's a very good sort of B level villain. For
If we're
someone with no
going,
superpowers, I think he's really good.
so I would say like he's got to be in great for me because he
Mhm.
was pretty chilling. Just he was a nice guy, but was having such horrible actions. Like he's like, I need Iron Man at my birthday party. 5 minutes later, slaps Winter Soldier in the face to get him to deprogram. You know,
Yeah.
saying, saying like, I shot Nick Fury and he's my best friend, and just so cold. Talking to the one Indian World Security Council member, saying like, what if your daughter was taken in the middle of an arena in Pakistan? You're telling me you wouldn't shoot a drone? Like he was just so poised
Mm.
with it. Like he's got to be in great for me.
Where would you put him amongst the other people who are
Yeah,
currently in great?
he's better than Red Skull.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Right? Yeah, yeah, I'd put him in there.
And after Winter Soldier, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, and we have Ronan. Where is he?
I think
There he
he's the
is.
first one. Oh no, there he is. Yeah,
Um, he's all right. Not memorable, really.
yeah, I'd put him in Thor: Love and Thunder. Or he didn't do anything bad.
No,
I'd put him
he's
in Meh.
yeah. I'd put him in there as well. There's not much to say about him, is there?
And any villain you have to defeat with a dance battle is a stupid villain. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not hot take.
No,
I'm not really big on the Guardians films, but
I
I think
love the
James Gunn
dance
is a
battle to
fantastic.
save the universe. I love the dance battle to save the universe.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I said, Dark Knight Rises to Avengers, bro. Like I just could not
Mhm.
say that in a Christopher Nolan movie. So it's just not my vibe. It's just not my and I know that's hypocritical because one of my favorite movie scenes is Toby and the black suit and
Yeah.
dancing down the but I mean that's just different, that's Toby Maguire, but
Mhm.
I mean I don't know. I'm not really big on the Guardians films, but there are elements of brilliant heart and humor, and objectively, they are one of the best in the MCU films. They're just not for me. I just,
Well,
whatever. But I'm excited for Superman Legacy, though. But
I've got a bit of a hot take for you. I think the Guardians is the best trilogy in the MCU.
maybe, probably, yeah,
I think so.
probably. Yeah, I mean, it's what do we got? We got the Thor ones, which we got the Iron Man one, which you could argue it, but
Yeah,
you have the Spider-Man one, which actually I think it's pretty raw.
yeah,
You got Ant-Man, which is you have Captain America, which is fantastic. So
fire.
I think the real battle is Captain America versus Guardians, which is the better. It
Yeah,
makes
I
for a
think
great.
so.
We should ask the audience that what they think. There we go.
After Guardians, we have.
Ant-Man.
Is it? Was no
I don't
other?
know, bro.
Was it? Oh yeah, this
Um,
was back when they were doing two a year, wasn't it? So. Oh no, it's
yeah.
Ultron. Ultron's next
Um,
because Ultron
oh
was
God, yeah,
April,
yeah,
Ant-Man
yeah.
was July, I think.
Okay, yeah. Um,
Ultron.
Thor: Love and Thunder for me. Thor: Love and Thunder, simply because I'm a just reading the comics.
mm,
You would have never thought like just objectively, Ultron would murder Brainiac in a fight. You take the best version of Brainiac, best version of Ultron. Ultron wipes the floor with Brainiac. I will argue that. I don't care how big of a DC fan you are. There's nothing you can tell me that is going to legitimately prove to me that Brainiac would ever beat Ultron in a fight. It's not happening. Ultron is that guy.
hmm
You don't see that vibe in here. They gave him the future, Gore treatment. What they did to
Yeah.
Gore, they did to Ultron. Um,
It's,
and the
it's
trailer,
it's oh yeah, the trailer
the
got you so hyped, and
yeah,
it's so the led you into thinking Ultron was going to be an incredible villain with the title of the film, Age of Ultron. It's not Age of Ultron, it's like the 2 days of Ultron,
yeah.
isn't
Like
it?
what would have made a better like plan or better like film is if Ultron was infecting Tony Stark's suits and stuff and taking over. So
Mm.
I was thinking from the trailer that they were showing that Tony was trapped in the Hulkbuster armor and he was just going crazy in South Africa. And then Bruce Banner forced himself to be the Hulk to stop him.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been way more cool. And instead, they went predictable with it. They
Yeah.
went super predictable with it. It felt like a completed homework assignment versus a passion project. And
Mm.
um,
And it
yeah,
doesn't make
I don't
any
know.
sense because the key parts of like the stories from the other films, like Tony getting rid of all his suits, but then he's got more suits again, and then Shield literally being broken up in the film before this, and then they just return with the
Yeah,
helicarrier. Like,
yeah.
what was the point of Winter Soldier if they're just gonna bring Shield back in the next movie?
I never watched Age of Ultron after the theater. Like I've only seen that movie one time in my life. I've seen Love
Really?
and Thunder more. I've seen Love and Thunder more.
Wow. I think
Um,
I've seen Ultron. I think it's like twice in cinema, and I've seen it twice since.
it's trash, bro.
Mm,
I just don't like what they did to Ultron. Like I'm not trying to be a
no.
huge Ultron fan or anything, but just don't like what they did with it.
The other
Ant-Man.
MCU film from 2015, Ant-Man. So Yellow Jacket, who actually is one of the
I'd put,
lucky people to be in this list twice.
yeah, uh, I'd put him in good. I
I
thought it
yeah,
was funny when he was having the crazy psycho moments with Janet. He's like, you know what? I really hate your dad. Like, why would he not like me? And
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I really loved what they did with him.
Where would you put him in good currently?
I'd put him at the bottom.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
I'd
he's
put him
he's
at the
perfect
bottom.
for the sort of this. It's funny because it's Ant-Man, but the small scale sort of movie.
Ant-Man 1 is the best one out of the whole trilogy.
Yeah, by far, it's one of the best MCU films. It's like
Yeah.
it's a heist movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are always fun.
This is the direction they should go with Ant-Man going forward. They should make it Uncharted meets Mission Impossible meets Ant-Man.
Hmm.
Have it go like Eric O'Grady, like the evil Ant-Man, like the piece of garbage Ant-Man. Have him have like a redemption story, and he's like going across the world stealing. What if he steals like a warlord's dagger, and now the president of Uzbekistan is chasing him around the world, And meanwhile, there's something mystical about it, and he has his Ant-Man pin particle powers to also fight. I mean, you could really make Ant-Man cool, bro. You don't have to
Yeah.
make Ant-Man Quantumania. You could really make Ant-Man cool, but I don't know.
Um, I would like to throw another film into the mix for the in the films that you combine in to make the perfect Ant-Man. Uncharted, Mission Impossible, Ant-Man, and the Lego movie. I want to
Yeah.
see a scene where someone's got this huge Lego city and the villains like hidden something. They've shrunk it down. They've hidden it in their kids' like Lego city set in the
Hmm.
basement or whatever. Hank Scott has got to shrink dead tiny, and he's got to travel through this Lego city, you know, Mission Impossible style to retrieve this thing.
With Ant-Man, when you know the branding isn't there, you need to think outside the box, and you can
Hmm.
really make Ant-Man cool. And
Hmm.
Edgar Wright was gonna do it. He was gonna do it, but
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
what the report earlier this year, it said that
mm,
Marvel doesn't necessarily hire the best writers. They hire the writers who will do what their plan is.
the best yes
Impressionable
men.
writers. Yes.
Mm,
So that's why Michael, like with all due respect, that's why Michael Waldron gets the jobs because he works fast, works great, is professional, gets scripts out, not necessarily because he knows the comics.
yeah.
Um, and I'm more fancy to understand that there's a business aspect of it,
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, okay, that's it, man. So what's next, bro? Doctor Strange?
No, it's early 2016. Where Civil War, Zemo.
Zemo's got to be in the GOAT for me.
Yeah, he's right up there. I'd put him in between. Yeah, I'd put him in between there, just below Bucky.
Yeah, I agree with that because he's the man who broke the Avengers.
He did it
He's the man.
without doing anything apart from just his words and just saying things and do like not. He didn't physically really do much at all,
Yeah, I agree with that, bro. I agree.
and
I
he figured out the way to defeat them is to get them to turn on each other, and he's the only person really who's well, besides Thanos, who's actually defeated the Avengers.
Because it's what he revealed. What he revealed was
Hmm.
not something governmental conspiracy esque or something Assassin's Creedy that flipped the world on its shoulders. What he said is, "Hey, Mister Captain, Mister Iron Man, Mister Superhero, your buddy over there, Captain America, Truth, Justice in America, yeah, his dad murdered or his buddy murdered your mom and dad, and he knew about it, and he lied to you. Keep saving the
Mm.
world though." And so he made it from superhero to personal. And to me, there's just something like when I watch Civil War and you still watch Civil War, I mean, it's visually hard to look at because it's just gray, bro. It's just really, really gray. But um the direction, the writing, I mean, Daniel Brühl was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, Mission Report, December 16th, whatever it was, I forget it. It was a meme. Remember and when he was in Cleveland, he
Oh
was
yeah.
interrogating the one in the hotel in Cleveland, and he kept saying, "What do you want? Mission report, December, blah blah. I will not tell you. Mission report. Why are you doing this to me? Because I want the mission report." Like, like he really wanted that mission report, and he got that mission report.
Yeah.
And that mission report destroyed the Avengers. So
Mm.
that to me, he did what Ultron couldn't do. He did what Loki couldn't do. He did what yeah, no, Thanos did do it as well. Thanos did do it as well. But
Yeah.
to be in Thanos's presence,
Mhm.
yeah, no, he's got to be the GOAT for me. Daniel Brühl was just
Um,
fantastic. He broke the Avengers, bro.
you've just reminded me of something in my GCSEs, which is like for the American listeners, that's like the exams you do at the end of high school in the UK. In my English language exam, we had like a writing task, and they presented us with, something. We had to write a short story based off of that. I basically ripped off Civil War and Winter Soldier combined, and I had memorized all the trigger words that turn him into the Winter Soldier, and I included like Mission Report December 16th. I included all like the trigger words like I can't remember them now, like freight cars, one of them, homecoming, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I basically ripped off Winter Soldier and Civil War for me, and I ended up getting a 7, which is an A. So
There we go,
They
bro.
clearly
There
couldn't
we go.
tell that I'd ripped them off.
But also like one thing before we move on to the next film is that whole mission report line that pays off in the long road with Bucky and his arc in Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Hmm.
because in Wakanda, when one of the Dora Milaje, like the not the new bald one in Wakanda Forever, but the Io, I think her name Io was it?
Yeah.
She's saying the mission report thing to Bucky, and he doesn't get programmed for the first time ever, and both of them are crying because you can tell, one, how much this means to Bucky, but two, just how good of people Wakandans are. They're like, we're gonna help you out,
Hmm.
we got you, and we actually care about you. It's
So
just
good.
so good, so good. All right, what's after
Uh, I think it's Doctor Strange after that. So we've got uh Caecilius, is that his name?
yeah, it's the Mr. Doctor, right? Like, remember
Mr.
what is
Doctor,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's gotta be the male Thor Love. It's Thor Love and Thunder, isn't it? What am I on about?
I'm gonna go with man because he did make me laugh a couple times, so man.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. There's not really much to say about him, is there? Apart from they
Yeah.
wasted another phenomenal actor on a sort of minor role.
Yes,
Um,
yes, 100%.
Dormammu should have been a really imposing threat, wasn't really.
I'd give him meh as well.
Yeah, I'd
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 give
put
him meh.
him just above him and below Ronan.
Okay, yeah. No, you'd put him above Mr. Doctor?
Well, because that final scene when Doctor Strange keeps turning back time is like,
Okay.
what's
Okay, yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah. He did outsmart him, yeah. Fair enough,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Um, After Doctor Strange, first, so we're in 2017 now. What was the first MCU film? 2017, was it Guardians 2?
I think, yeah.
Okay, so we've got Ego. I think Ego is a very, very good villain, and I'm tempted to put him in GOAT just for that one line. Where you know which line I'm on about. It killed me to put the tumor in her head. That is
I agree.
ruthless.
Yeah.
That's insane. He's
I did
evil
not
as
expect that.
fuck. Yeah.
I did not expect that, bro. Like when he said, and then he transformed into other characters that
Mhm.
Peter looked up to growing up
Yeah.
after he getting shot. It was horrifying. And then the whole, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Guardians films, but I love James Gunn's work.
Mhm.
And to be clear, why I'm not a big fan of Guardians is because I don't really prefer, the only cosmic stuff I like is Star Wars. That's really it. Otherwise, I'm very much a Daredevil, Spider-Man type of guy. But what I really loved about the Ego was the line when like Peter's beating him up and he's like saying, "If you let them kill me, you won't be a god." And then he was like, "What's wrong with that?" And Ego was like, "No." And just
Mhm.
that whole sequence, just bro, that final 15 minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy to me is, it's up there with the final half of No Way Home.
Mm.
uh no, I'm tripping. No, it's not. It's up there with the most emotional aspects of the MCU. I got a
It's
little
not far
overexcited.
off. I don't think it's far off though.
It's one of the most quality final thirds of the MCU for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
yeah, Mary Poppins, man. Yeah, yeah, I
Are you
agree.
okay with him being in the middle of the ones we currently have up there?
I think he's above Zemo. I
Okay,
think because
yeah,
he was
I'm
just
fine with
evil. Zemo wasn't evil. He was justified. But
that.
but yeah, Ego was evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even have him above Bucky, honestly.
All right, yeah, we'll put him up there.
Yeah, yeah.
After Guardians 2, we've got, is it? It's not Ragnarok, is it?
Hella.
Yeah,
Is it Hella?
hell,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Vulture.
How did we forget, dude? Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm such a fake Spider-Man fan.
He's
Like
goat.
Peter's
He's
judging me.
goat. He's
Yeah, no, well,
the only question for me here is where in goat does he go?
he's above Zemo, but he's below Bucky.
Mhm. That scene in the car when he's driving to the homecoming dance,
Yeah. Yeah. I
that
really I
is
really think
perfect.
I really think it would make more sense if we had Vulture and then Adrian Toomes. Because Vulture, I felt like
Okay.
could have had more. Like if I was making a Spider-Man film, I would have camera angles be as dynamic as like those GoPro roller coaster camera angles, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. The
Yeah.
action follows you. So I was thinking because Peter has web wings, he'll be in the air longer, so you could have crazy aerial action sequences with Vulture to really show off the fact that Peter's going from a kid who wants to be an Avenger to neighborhood friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Because not to go on a Spider-Man tangent, Spider-Man in the comics versus Spider-Man in the MCU, the biggest difference is Spider-Man in the comics is much more akin to like a Popeye's a Sailor Man, a Prince of Persia, like a very confident uh badass superhero who
Hmm.
gets off by the wind of his teeth. That's the type of character he is. Versus in the MCU, it's very much Mr. Stark trying to grow into that man.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I'm not hating on it. That's just objectively the differences in the characterizations. So with Vulture, as Vulture, and he was whatever. I mean, it was a cool play on the Avengers aspect to it, having him pick up the pieces of the Avengers film. I thought that was cool and made sense. But the true scary chilling aspects was Adrian Toomes. Was that car sequence, the come on
Hmm.
Spider-Man sequence, that the whole fight on the plane. Adrian Toomes absolutely um killed it.
Yeah.
I think he was way more imposing outside of suit. And we love a man that loves black women, Adrian Toomes, Adrian Toomes, man, you're good over here. So
that scene
yeah,
when Peter knocks on the door and he opens it, the screening that I was at, everyone just like you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was just completely silent. They were stunned. And like what
yeah.
was so great about that reveal is there was no rumors of that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All the
Like
rumors
nobody knew.
was Osborn screwed him over and his daughter was sick. You remember that? Like those were all
Yeah.
of the rumors. Like,
A rumor I heard at the time as well was that he was MJ's dad. So he was Zendaya's
mm,
dad. Do you remember that one?
hmm.
So if we'd maybe looked a bit more into it at the time, we could have thought, oh, maybe this is happening. But yeah, so the best part was nobody knew that was coming.
And it just elevated the film even more. The
Mm,
whole trope of Peter's lives coming together was so like the final half of Homecoming,
mm.
pure Spider-Man cinema.
What have we got next? After Homecoming, it's Ragnarok.
Hella is she's good.
Mhm.
She does her job. Like,
I'd say great. I'd go as far as put her in the great tier.
why you say that?
Well, I think like she's one of the few characters that's actually threatened Thor and made Thor look vulnerable. Sort of, when because we see him and she threatens him so much that he unlocks the full power of being the god of
Mm,
thunder. Like she
mm,
brought that out of him. She pushed him to his limit.
mm.
Um, which is probably why I'd put her the highest out of any of the Thor villains, bar Loki.
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
Um, I'd put her. I'd put her just below Loki and great.
All right, yeah.
Um,
I
what were you the god of again? That scene's just
okay.
sick. And when she
Yeah.
cuts out his eye, like, come
Yeah.
on.
And you could tell she had fun with it too, yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason she got the MCU bag, she got a shit ton of money, made her kids happy because the only reason she did the
Yeah.
film was because the kids like the MCU. Fair
Yep.
play. Um, what do we have next? Is it Killmonger?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Go go. I have him above Ego.
Yeah, definitely. At the time when that film came out, he was the best. He was the absolute number one.
Mhm.
So he's got to be at the top so far.
I think also it's like Killmonger, I mean, for lack of better terms, like a lot of people talk about racial justice and racial inequities, but you have to address world history. And with that, you have to acknowledge that historically Europeans used whiteness to murder millions of black people all over the world. And Black Panther addressed that, and a lot of people kind of get offended by it or kind of get in their feelings and feel awkward. Like I know I have so many like white friends, bro, who they like kind of get like, ooh, like, well, not all of us are bad. And it's like, bro, like I'm not even saying that. I'm just talking historically. This is what happened.
Yeah.
And um, I think this movie really, I mean, it wasn't like, the Green Mile or anything like that, but it wasn't trying to be. It was just a film that was trying to bring everybody together, specifically also empowering black people. This was a movie for black people, and it didn't forget that. And I think that was a pretty beautiful part about it. And Killmonger's performance, I mean, Michael B. Jordan, I mean, he was angry. He was saying like, I have these Wakandan vibranium weapons. I'm going to destroy the world because of racism. I thought,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Amazing.
justified. That's
Yeah.
justified. I mean, now he's a terrorist to be wrong because he was also willing to kill black people who disagreed with him. He killed his side piece just for the hell of it,
Hmm.
So he was not a good person by any means, but he was a very interesting person, very interesting character. That's why he was so popular in What If.
Yeah.
So yeah, Killmonger, yeah, absolutely at the top of the list.
And after that, it's Thanos, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay. So again, I've got two versions of Thanos. I've got Infinity War Thanos and Endgame Thanos, the one who comes from 2014.
I'm going with Infinity War Thanos at the top of the GOAT list
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
what he did was change the game. I mean, that snap, people weren't talking in the theaters.
Hmm.
Like no, like I was in the car with my brother and we were silent. Like, what did we
Yeah.
just watch? Like Thanos did it. He fantastic, fantastic. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Yeah, that he's maybe, one of the best blockbuster villains in cinema history.
I think I think he's definitely this generation's Darth Vader.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Like no question. I mean, like the
Everyone
pop
know
culture.
everyone knows about Thanos, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Thanos is used in basketball conversations.
Hmm.
Like people say LeBron, like Michael Jordan's an assassin, but LeBron is Thanos.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like his influence in pop culture is insane.
He gets referenced so many times by like different rappers as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so also from Infinity War, I've got the Children of Thanos. I just thought it'd be funny to rank them.
Yeah, put them in good. I think they did their job. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
they played the minions role pretty well.
Yeah,
Squidward
I agree.
and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Venom.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's not much to say about this.
Yeah. Next is Jude Law, right? I never watched
Mm.
Captain Marvel, so I don't know.
Oh no, it's no, we've missed out Ghost.
Oh, I didn't watch that either.
It's meh.
All right.
It's she does have an interesting story, but I'll put her just below Abomination because she does
All
have
right.
quite an interesting story, and you do end up feeling for her by the end.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So
So you
Jude
you would have her above Abomination or below?
below,
Okay.
and then Jude Law's character cannot remember his name.
Who
He
cares?
he was
Yeah.
he wasn't anything special. He was just a bit of a dickhead, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah.
um, I'm tempted to go Thor: Love and Thunder.
Do it. Who cares? We don't have enough in there, but we're about to get a lot. We're about to get a lot to our Love and Thunders.
Where should we? Let's put him in between them two. Um. So okay, after that it's Endgame, right?
Yes. And for
Is
that,
Endgame Thanos better than Infinity War Thanos?
I think it's a natural progression. It ups the stakes because you remember he said, "You guys defeated me. Destroying half of you isn't enough, so I'm going to murder everybody." And
Hmm.
there was a moment when we thought he won again, when he snapped the fingers and Iron Man said, "And I am
Yeah.
Iron Man." Like, So no, I would put him in the GOAT category as well. Maybe below Infinity War. Um, but I mean, if you put him above him because he's more terrifying, I mean, I don't blame you.
I'll put him below. If they had done the scene where he goes to 2012, comes back with like Captain America's head,
Yeah,
he'd be number one.
I agree.
But I think if I don't think they filmed that, did they? It was just cut from the script. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they'd included that, it'd be number one.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
then after Endgame, it's Far From Home, right?
Yeah, and with that, Mysterio's my favorite Spider-Man villain, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man Far From Home is overhated on Twitter, but Spider-Man Far From Home is also far from expectations, and it was a missed opportunity. And they made Mysterio a Phineas and Ferb villain that was Tony Stark related, and that pissed me off. However, it's the implications of Mysterio. So while I enjoyed Mysterio, I would have written him a lot more horrifying and a lot more serious. But the elements where he was like, when Peter was in the night monkey suit and
Mm-hmm.
Mysterio was like kind of talking all over him. That Mysterio sequence was fantastic. The drone sequence was fantastic. Mysterio's death and Mysterio's line was like, "People will believe what they want," was fantastic, and him revealing his identity to the whole world was fantastic. And I think the one way to kind of bring the whole Tom Holland Spider-Man saga full circle, Mysterio should appear when Peter has the black suit. Imagine Peter's
Mm-hmm.
rage when he sees the dude who ruined his life alive and he doesn't
Yeah.
remember Peter because of the spell. Like, replace the whole Shocker thing and replace Tom with Mysterio and be like, Mysterio, where are you? Like, I could
I'll
see that.
chase you till the ends of the earth.
I could see that, bro. Like Mysterio. So because of that, I'd put him in good. I'd put him.
Good.
I'd put him in good. Um.
Oh, but he's below Justin Hammer then.
Oh, that's true. Then I'd put him. I'd put him between Loki and Hela.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
because he was enjoyable
implications.
enough.
Yeah.
Next, that's Phase 4. So that's Black Widow.
Yes, I've included both villains. The Russian guy who controls the Red Room. Um.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with good because even though he's an evil character and you hate him, there's just not enough of his acting for me to have him
Mhm.
above everybody else. But conceptually, if we were just going concept of character, yeah, he'd probably be in the GOAT.
Mm.
Um, and then Taskmaster, I'm going with Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, considering how great Taskmaster. Oh, where in Thor: Love and Thunder? It's just it does it matter? It's just a pile of shit.
It's
That
just
whole
a
thing.
pilot.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, because where Taskmaster came from in the where we've seen of it, what we've seen of the character before, it was disappointing. It was
Very
really
disappointing.
disappointing.
Uninspiring. You don't really you if you watch Jeremy John's YouTube videos, you know how one of his ranking is like you've already forgotten it. Like
Yeah.
it's like that. It's literally like that. Literally.
Um,
Um
we needed
yeah.
we needed one of those rankings in the last video because we completely forgot to rank Kenobi, didn't we, in the Star
Well,
Wars video?
Kenobi, listen, bro. Like hot take. I know so many people online were defending that Princess Leia forest chase scene.
Oh yeah,
Don't.
yeah.
This is a multi-billion dollar industry, multi-billion dollar organization alone at Disney.
Hmm.
You can do a better chase scene than that shit.
Yeah,
Come
100%.
on. Like it was garbage. That show, Kenobi is dog shit, bro. Kenobi's dog shit, bro. Like
Apart from the final battle with Vader, I won't rewatch any of it.
it's it's dog shit. Like Ice Cube's kid was in the show, and there was
Mm.
a line dialogue where he's like, "I don't want anything to do with the Jedi. I'm not helping you." 2 minutes later, I'll help you and everything you need. And it didn't even feel earned. It didn't even
Yeah,
feel earned. It was trash, bro. Trash. Like Kenobi is the worst Star Wars show. Like, oh my god. Like, and the
yeah,
actions was
probably is.
cool. But they didn't need to do a rematch of the century. They
No,
didn't need to. Like,
even though it was good, yeah, it wasn't exactly needed.
oh my god. I mean, it wasn't Book of Boba Fett bad, but it was still pretty bad. But
Mm.
anyway, go and move in swiftly. What
So
are we at next?
after Black
Shang-Chi?
Widow, it's yes, Shang-Chi came before Eternals, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like Shang-Chi, No Way Home, and then Eternal. No,
No, Eternals. Then No Way Home.
okay, yeah. So Shang-Chi, I'd put him in GOAT.
Yeah,
I'd
I know
probably
he's one of your favorites.
I'd put him probably below Bucky, above Vulture.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Um,
I'd agree with that.
just that whole sequence when he murders that entire like Chinese mafia with his son watching, Shang-Chi watching, and you really feel his rage. And I feel like if Bree died or something, I definitely would be him. Like I could see
Yeah.
myself going down that path. So
Hmm.
um yeah, he was really relatable. And I just really love how they subverted the evil Asian dad trope with the reason why he's evil is because he's human, because he loves his
Yeah.
family. I thought that was a nice change of pace and not an honor dishonor to us all stereotype, which even though is true in Asian societies and Asian cultures, we don't want to be reminded of that all the time. So this was like a cool way of subverting that. And the action sequences were phenomenal, like how they used the 10
Oh yeah.
rings and yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved them.
So after that, we've got uh, what's his name? Is it Car? Something like that.
I
Kor.
I don't know, but he's in Love and Thunder.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where we put people in here at this point. We'll just
Yeah, because he's like he's how do I say it? His presentation was cool,
Mhm.
but I didn't really like the story, the build up, how Athena just killed him so easily. I thought it was cool how he was evolving from like monstrous deviant dogs into a being, but it
Yeah.
didn't really tie into the Eternals overall story. Icarus was a better villain than that thing.
I should have
And
probably included Icarus looking back at it.
if I put Icarus anywhere, I'd probably put him top of meh, below of good, because they're
Mm.
characters that have done his same story arc over and over and over again in other franchises.
In
Um,
uh in in the edit, I will put a picture of Icarus that right there.
yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, but that's where I'll kind of put them. And Eternals is one of my favorite movies. I love Eternals. It's one of the, in my
Yeah.
opinion, one of the most high quality and best MCU films. But the villain just left so much more hanging. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, um,
I'm really interested to see the future of sort of the characters in that as well.
yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah. I really hope Chloe Zhao comes back because the visuals, the direction, we need it.
Mm.
People didn't see the vision of Eternals, but those fast fight sequences, super speed sequences, it's better than the Flash,
It's besides sort
better
of
than Quicksilver, better than Sonic.
yeah. It's if you're not going to do the Quicksilver route and slow everything down that much, this is if you, to show this real speed. This is perfect way to do it.
Yeah, and I loved it. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's where I put it. Okay,
Um,
now we have No Way Home. Oh, Icarus is there. Icarus is there. He's right there, right by Gore.
oh no, that's the High Evolutionary.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, they have the same suit.
Yeah.
Um, okay. All right. No Way Home. Electro, Ock, and
Hmm.
Goblin. Okay, Electro and Ock, I think that's good. It was good to see them come back. Okay, I would put Ock at good because
Okay.
I like how they didn't ruin his character progression from Spider-Man 2. And he
I'd put
didn't too
I'd put him probably in the middle of good.
yeah, I'm just glad he was back, and it was a
Hmm.
nice step up to see him and Toby interact. And it was cool to see him be cured. I thought it was great. His character deserved that from Spider-Man 2. Electro deserved it. He had a great upgrade. I put him in great.
Yeah.
Electro is giving everybody the hands. And I really love that. Electro is such an underutilized Spider-Man villain. Um, I would put Goblin and Goat. I would put Goblin in between Thanos, in between both Thanoses.
Yeah.
Um, the apartment scene, the monologues, him
Hmm.
murdering Aunt May, everything about Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is perfect. Green Goblin is the ultimate Spider-Man villain for a reason. Um, and I just loved seeing Tom Holland giving him the work, like, on the Statue
Yeah.
of Liberty. So yeah, I know Green Goblin to me, I'm glad they didn't recast him. They were smart enough to bring the goat back, so that's why.
Um, we do also have we've got the lizard there. The picture isn't great. And I did
I'd
save a Sandman picture, but I don't know why it's not added it. So we'll say
I'd
this
put
is
both of
Lizard
them
and
in meh.
Sandman.
I'd put both of them
Yeah.
in meh. Yeah.
I'll.
And also, the lizard design is stupid. Make him look like a lizard, not a man with bad skin.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah.
After No Way Home, it's Multiverse of Madness, right?
Yeah, I would put Wanda in meh.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not a Wanda stan.
I'm not a Wonder stan. I'm a Wonder simp after that movie. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So for that, I think she's got to be higher than the.
So here's why I put her in meh, right? Her character was not like her character direction didn't really make any sense. It was kind of forced. They were already kind of set on making her a heel, so to speak. So it
Mhm.
didn't feel like whatever. The actual presentation of her, yeah, she was horrifying, but her character was not. It didn't feel like you know what I'm saying. It didn't feel organic. She was the same, kind of character that Darth Vader is. Oh, I'm going to be a monster for my kids. Like we've seen that so many times better and different characters. I think she was horrifying how she murdered the Illuminati, but it's just, I guess what I'm saying is I just didn't really feel her character. I saw she
Oh,
was destructive, but I just didn't connect.
I think for that scene alone, though, where she kills the Illuminati, she's got to be bottom of good at least. I think for that scene alone,
Okay, yeah.
because we
I mean,
haven't seen brutality like that really.
I put her above. Then I'd put her above Otto, just objectively. Even though
Okay.
Otto was a feel good character in No Way Home. They brought him back
Yeah.
so audience could feel good, and he had a natural progression. Um, so yeah, but yeah, okay, sure. I put Wanda there. All right,
Um,
next
what's
who we got?
next? It's Gore next, isn't it?
Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder.
See, I've got to agree, but I don't want to because he should be so much higher. They just dropped the bomb massively.
Yeah, the Thor: Love and Thunder. How do you have Christian Bale and you waste him?
Mm.
How do you waste him? Like Gore, bro. I still think Kratos would murder Gore in a fight, but Gore would be the one character to give Kratos the hands.
Mm.
Like Gore is a god butcher. He murdered gods, huge gods, planet-sized gods with the Necrosword, who is the god of the symbiotes. And laid house, he has wiped out celestial beings. He has decapitated celestials. Gore is that person. How do you have him lose to a bunch of Rey Mysterio fanboys in Thor: Love and Thunder? I just don't.
Another reason I absolutely hate this movie is we end up well when I was watching it, I ended up wanting Gore to win because the film gave me
Yeah,
no reason whatsoever to want the gods to survive. The gods are all being assholes. Like,
yeah.
why would I want them to survive? Like, yeah, I want him to win. I want them to be killed.
And then the whole how they finished it off like I choose love, and Gore is like, please watch my daughter. How many times have we seen that in movies before,
Oh,
bro?
it's
How
so
many times?
tired,
How
isn't it?
many? It felt like a homework assignment, bro. Like I hate that movie, and I hate what they did with Gore. He deserves much better.
Where would you
Uh,
put him in the Thor: Love and Thunder ranking?
Bottom because it's personal.
Mhm.
I love the story arc that they did in the comics. I just don't like what they did with him. All right, next we have Wakanda Forever.
Your boy.
Namor is GOAT, and I would have him.
Is he better than Killmonger?
No,
Oh, no.
no,
Is he better than
no,
Ego?
no.
Is he better
Um,
than Bucky and Winter Soldier?
yes,
Okay, we've
yes,
found his spot.
yeah. Because the reason why I don't have him above Ego and Killmonger is because his motivations didn't really make sense. I think
Mhm.
Tenet Huerta performance and the action sequences were phenomenal, and that's
Yeah,
what carried it. But I think it's kind of a Kylo Ren syndrome where the actor carries a character that kind of is on paper. Like I don't get how Namor connected all of the events with we have to invade Wakanda and we have to destroy the surface world. It's like he wanted to kill the surface world and then Wakanda was just the excuse, which is
Mhm.
fine. But then you also juxtapose that with him actually loving Talocan. So what is it? And I don't know. Like it's just the whole motivations didn't really make sense to me, honestly. Um, but I think the performances were phenomenal. And when he killed Queen Ramonda, he was like, "Now you are queen. If I come back, I will wash Wakanda from the face of the earth." And like Talocan, like Wakanda Forever is movie, in my opinion, but the presentation and the aesthetic and the vibe is phenomenal. I just think the story is understandably could have had a lot more work, and
Mhm.
that's not their fault. It's just passing of Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. So I think like Namor was the best part of the film, and I thought Talocan was the best parts of the film. But I think the actual motivation to go to War Wakanda doesn't actually make sense. I think it would make more sense if the scientist who discovered the vibranium was a kid who was in the Wakandan outreach border schools in
Mhm.
America.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so then that kind of connects that all, but it just felt contrived. They were just fighting for no reason, and then you threw in the CIA in there, and I don't know. I think like when people said No Way Home or Wakanda Forever is better than No Way Home, I don't know what they're smoking.
Not a
I don't know
chance.
what they're
Not
smoking.
a
Like
chance.
Spider-Man No Way Home absolutely shits all over Wakanda Forever. I don't care what anybody says. And I will debate that with even diehard Spider-Man fans. Just as a film, No Way Home is much better.
Mhm.
I think what's more memorable, I think the second half of No Way Home is, much more memorable than the first half. But I mean, come on, man. Like, really? That's what we're doing out here? Like, Wakanda Forever outside of Namor had nothing. Like, I'm just being objective about it. So, um, yeah.
Next, I think two guaranteed Thor: Love and Thunders.
Yeah, put Kang and put I am not a dick to and these yeah, you can put them below, yeah, because they're trash. I went to grad school for writing, and if I submitted paper or an assignment with that dialogue, I would fail it. And so that's why I'm angry. No, I'm serious. And so that's why I'm angry with these WJ, strikes right now, because you have people who can actually write better and you're not going to pay them, but instead you're
Mhm.
going to pay writers who create this dialogue. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I am not a dick. That really, really, that's what we're doing. Like kids in Fortnite don't even talk like that, bro. Like trash,
Uh,
trash,
yeah,
trash.
we don't need to
Um,
say anymore. And Kang, what? How the fuck do you drop the ball so bad with one of the best Marvel villains?
yeah, and they need to recast him. And then finally, High Evolutionary.
He's so
Put him
good.
in. I put him in bottom of goat, top of great.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd put him top of great. I'd say he's not quite in the goat tier for me.
Okay,
Um, now do we
okay.
before we
I'd do that too. I mean, he was evil.
yeah do we want to swap any round before we finish? Or you freezing a bit?
I think it's pretty good, honestly.
Okay, so we have had a few technical issues, so apologies for that. We're still,
Yeah.
you know, learning this content game.
Yeah,
Uh,
bro. Yeah. Yeah, man.
but
It's always a fun experience.
yeah, taking a look at this tier list, we can definitively say Kang is the worst MCU villain.
I'd say the worst MCU villain is it's just from the quality of the writing, it's gotta be MODOK. I mean, come on, man. You got a grown villain saying like, "I am not a dick. It's too late to not to be like, come
Yeah.
on. This is the next big bad like Ebony Maw was more intimidating than
Um.
so I think when you look at this list too, there's more, top tier villains than not. So
Yeah.
I don't think, I just think the one issue is MCU villains kind of dying after, their appearances. But
So maybe rather than is the question does the MCU have a villain problem? Do you think it does? If so, what is that problem?
I think the one issue is just the dying of the characters. There's not like a long end game with character development, especially when it comes to villains. Like, for example, you look at the Spot and Across the Spider-Verse, right? He starts out as a joke, ends up being horrifying. I'd love
Hmm.
if the MCU kind of did that with MCU villains, where their first appearances is not the final version of that character, that they grow throughout the films to where they
Hmm.
become a bigger problem. I think that'd be great. Um, I mean, they did that in Miles Morales, like in the video game. Rhino learned from
Yes.
Peter beating him, so he learned from that and then gave Peter the work. And Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Miles had to step up. So I think that, the MCU definitely has a villain's problem in terms of the tone. I want a villain to be able to be serious like Killmonger, like Namor, without a joke breaking it in between. Um, but I think in terms of like quality characters, I don't think so. It's just
Mhm.
I would prefer serious characters that don't joke every 2 seconds. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's why we have a lot of our goats. Like Thanos didn't do that. Goblin definitely did not do that. Thanos did not. Killmonger did not. Ego did, but that's like a Guardians thing. Namor did not. Bucky barely spoke. Tony did not. Or Tony Leung's Shang-Chi's dad, I forget his name.
Wenwu?
Um yeah, Wenwu, yeah. Vulture did not. Uh, Zemo did not. Obadiah Stane did not. Loki did. There's only two.
Hmm.
There's only two Wisecracker and the goats. That's just something to consider. We don't need a break of drama all the goddamn time,
Exactly.
Marvel. Yeah, like,
I think let's count down the top 10. So number 10, we've got Zemo.
hmm
Number 9, Vulture. 8,
hmm
Wenwu. 7,
hmm
Bucky in Winter Soldier. 6, Namor.
yeah,
5, Ego. 4, Killmonger. 3, Endgame Thanos.
yep,
2, Green Goblin. And number 1, Infinity War Thanos. I think that's a
yeah,
pretty definitive top 10.
yeah. And I challenge anybody to come up with a better list, man.
They
Right?
cannot.
That's
This is the definitive top 10. Anyone else is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people might, shit on the, what is it, like the Obadiah Stane pick, but wait, no, that's out of the top 10, never mind. Um, but I mean, hey, man, I mean, I look at this list, this is
Mhm.
maybe you could have a point for high evolutionary, maybe, but
Yeah.
overall, like this is the list, man. Like Thanos from Infinity War is the GOAT. Goblin comes close. Thanos is there, and then testament to like you look at the Avengers films, the Spider-Man films, the Black Panther films, the Captain America films, they all have the best villains in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, so yeah, Spider-Man, Captain America, and Black Panther, man, like the future of the MCU. But going forward, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say before we get off this. I think it's very possible that Spider-Man 4 is Tom Holland's last Spider-Man film.
It seems like it might be going that way.
I think he's done. I don't think his heart's in it. Shout out to him. I think it's wasted opportunity. I think the Spider-Man MCU films aren't bad by any means, but they're just I'm used to seeing an independent, serious tone Spider-Man, and I was hoping to see Tom Holland Spider-Man stories kind of go in that direction.
Hmm.
Um, Spider-Man Homecoming is a classic Spider-Man story. I don't have a problem with it. Far From Home is really the most gripes I have with this character. And then No Way Home, fantastic. But I just kind of wanted to see a street mafia type movie, with the mob and drugs and Black Suit Spider-Man. That's peak Spider-Man to me. So,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
but no, I mean, with all this WGA stuff, I think this can be his last film. But maybe not the last in the character. Like maybe Spider-Man just swings off into the sunset happily ever after for now, and then Miles is in the scene. I don't know.
Something like
But
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely see that this being the end. So it is what it is. Tom's put in a lot of hours. He's spent more time being Spider-Man than the other two, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
And
but missed opportunity still.
isn't he almost as old as is he even older than Toby was when Toby was first cast now?
I'm not sure.
'Cause I think Toby was cast when he was 25.
Okay, then yeah, he would. Yeah,
Okay,
yes, you're right.
that's mad to think about.
I mean, he's put in a lot of hours. He's put
Mm.
in a lot of hours. He is the face of the MCU with all due respect to everybody else. I mean, after No Way Home, what was the last great written MCU film?
um,
Like, you know, so
yeah, not many.
yeah, so but with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let us know if you guys like more of this type of content. Like this was real fun to make and it was super easy. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but hey, we're not flakes, we're the invincibles. We always make it happen. So with that, I'm Zen,
I'm Ollie.
and we'll catch you guys later. Take care, guys.
See you later.